Hi, and welcome to the Diablo Podcast, your home for Diablo diehards, tryhards, casual, and hardcore alike. I am your host, Xanth, and today I'm joined by the one and only Nerdwords.
What's up?
Is that new? Is that a new
Yeah,
little?
it's new. I was trying to do
There
things.
was audio listeners, predominant bulk of
Yeah,
the audience. Nerdwords prior did a little hand gesture of sorts.
little finger guns. Bow, bow,
Pew pew pew
bow.
pew. This is predominantly an audio medium. We do need to kind of
Yeah.
keep
No, the
that.
visual. See, this is what I'm trying to give. Our viewers more reason to view, right? So
That's fair.
physical finger guns in the video.
Audio listeners, sound off with how much you appreciate those visual cues. They have Spotify comments now and all of that stuff. Um,
Nice.
I just, try not to isolate the bread and butter of the Diablo
It's fair.
podcast,
It's true. It's true.
which is the audio medium. Um, Anyways, we're back. It has been there's some irony here in that I am now off for the summer, and this is the first podcast that we've really done since I finished school, which is sad. I we should be doing podcasts daily, really, at this point.
Why not? Why not every 6 hours?
Yeah,
Just stack up the year. We
I
can
think
just guess about ideas and things that are going to happen. Just drop it. See if anyone notices.
I like it. I don't think I would
I think
complain.
it's efficient.
Yeah,
Really, I think it's efficient.
okay. I'm gonna table it, but we haven't done we haven't done an episode in a while. Just schedules have been bad as of late, but we're back and we get to come together and kind of chat. um there was a campfire, which at this point we don't even need to talk about because the season is now fully in swing. Season 9 is
For
up
sure.
and running, and we can kind of come together and talk about that, and then we can get into the promised conversation, which was, last time I had talked about the upswell of contentment around Diablo 3. This harkening back to an era of refinement, a true age of enlightenment in Diablo 3, the game that everybody loves, and there was no derision in any way, or at least that's what's being painted on the internet. And what's happening with that? And why are we looking back so fondly on that game? So we'll get into that. That's our B segment, right? If we're looking at segments here, A segment, we're going to talk about our season 9 experience, what we think so far. And then B segment, well, let's dig into a little bit of Diablo 3. And it's been a long time since I've talked about Diablo 3. So in some ways that is kind of exciting. Um, there was a long time that this podcast ran, and that was all we talked about. And
Yeah.
what, 3 years into this podcast, we are going to have a little more Diablo 3 focused one, which is kind of odd, but that's okay. So let's talk season 9. You started with your necromancer, you're slowly working your way. Oh no, that's not you, that's someone else. Okay.
Yeah. That's 9.
So season 9, where are you at? What are you doing? And what are your thoughts?
So transparently, like you said, summertime has kicked in full effect. But for those of us people that work in the dregs of retail, we're in vacation season, so this is when we can go visit family and things like that, which has been good, but also created gaps in ability to play. But no, I was able to jump in. I jumped in late. I didn't start my season until Saturday because I was out of town. But I was able to jump in. I had one longer session in the evening Saturday night where I played. I'm only level 37, so transparently also not even max level yet. But I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it so far. Playing Sork, of course, like usual, and just going full on Hydra from the beginning. Um, I knew that was going to be kind of the big push this season because the meta shift, and the kind of the new pieces that were dropping were surrounding Hydra, so I was excited to try that out. And I've always liked Hydra; it's an iconic spell for the sorcerer. Plus, we haven't really had viable Hydra builds. I mean, you kind of ran Hydra in every leveling build ever, just because it's great passive damage. But to actually center a build around what it can do for you is pretty awesome, and it's been fun. It's been super fun so far. but just want to jump more in tonight and get some more time in, and I'll have way more time over the next few weeks to catch up and get the season journey and all that stuff done. So I'm excited.
Nice. I can say that I am in Torment 1 on the cusp of Torment 2. Druid, because again, sadist, and I just hate myself. Actually, Druid did not feel absolutely awful on this. There's some good balance that has kind of happened to the class. I still think there are a lot of issues that I've spoken on many, many times. But in general, the druid did feel a little bit better. That it
Hmm.
I was able to kind of bounce around, from different skill to different skill, just based around drops to kind of get myself to 60. Found a crone staff, did basic attack, and then I got the poison pulverize uh, hammer, and have just been kind of rocking that, which is kind of the meta for druid this go. Anyway, it's fun, it's fine. I'm still hitting those. I'm in Torment 1. I'm farming for the exact same stuff, but a little bit better to do the exact same stuff, but a little bit harder kind of wall. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not hating. It does feel better than last season. I really struggled with last season. I dropped it so quickly. I think also playing softcore has helped with that, where I'm just like, yeah, okay. The character is going to be there. I'm not going to have to grind out a few more characters to kind of call it. So yeah, that has been beneficial. I'm gonna keep playing for a little bit. I don't. This is still not a season that I foresee being a. I'm still playing in October, right? Uh,
Right.
or yeah, maybe October for this one. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
because
because
the
it's
the
July
next
1st.
season we know
Right.
is going to be in November, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't I don't think it will last that long for me, but I'll definitely keep playing for a
Right.
little bit. Have you played much with the how are you leveling? I guess is the question. Are you engaging with the seasonal mechanic
Through and I
or
Yeah, that's literally all I have done. I signed in. I went and did my little questicle, which was super exciting. Honestly, the quests have been really cool. I've really enjoyed the kind of lore of the season. Um, it feels a little more fleshed out than your average season, I would say. It's not like dramatically more or less. It's just I don't know, it feels different, and the voice acting's incredible. Forgot how much I love the voice actor for Astaroth because his voice is incredible. But yeah, I've really enjoyed that so far. But I literally started, went straight to the Green Quest, did that, and then as soon as it was like, okay, now go get this stuff, and I'm just like, cool, Nightmare Sigil, nice, and I'm just, yes, me, I know, the proverbial hater, doing nothing but running Nightmare Dungeons so far for the season and enjoying it for sure. So
I was hoping with the Nightmare Dungeon changes that you would see the older dungeons be treated more like the dungeons from Nahatu, in which the way if you've never noticed or you never even upgraded a vessel, the way it works is in the Nahatu dungeons, you can go right to the boss. You have to make your way through the maze, and then you can do some sort of activity to essentially unlock the bonus room, right? And
mhm,
those unlock activities are the kind of stuff that are littered around your traditional nightmare dungeon.
right,
I was hoping the rework would have that in the new or in the older dungeons, because there still is like the animus activities. There still are the mechanical box activities, in which it just there's so much backtracking. I had a few of the nightmare dungeons, because you start killing things quickly and you miss one animus and you don't see it because pets do not pick them up.
yep,
And then you make it to the door and you're like, oh, I've killed
I got to run
everything.
all the way back.
Where
Yeah,
is it? Oh, it's back at the start.
they need an animus vacuum that just goes with you,
That's yeah, that would be an
or just like drastically increase the pickup ratio of that. But yeah, I've noticed that problem as well.
yeah, I think
I've
like
had that problem once or twice.
the animus part of it is also, it's like, how is the animus different than kill the the generals or kill the totems or kill any of that. Why do I have to worry about picking up these three, little orbs that drop? Why not just change it? Because that would alleviate that problem. But I was really hoping that that would be the part of the dungeon, because the Nahatu dungeons are significantly more enjoyable for me because I can just kind of cruise through them. And then when I want to slow down, or if I do choose to engage in whatever mechanic is happening, I can then choose to, divert myself into a treasure room or whatever it is.
Right.
When I have that
Yeah, I mean,
agency, it just feels better.
no, you're not wrong. Maybe that would take significantly more design work. I don't know. You would imagine that the technology exists, but do they have to restructure things so dramatically that it becomes not worth it? Maybe they could do an easier fix where it's just auto pickup as soon as you do it. I would argue, though, like just in the interest of devil's advocacy here, that like it's the only mechanic you actually have to like interact with at all, in the sense that you don't even have to do anything other than know that it's the mechanic of the dungeon and keep your eyes peeled and go get it. So like, let's be honest, it's kind of on us for messing that up. Like, I mean, unless we want to play a game that is literally like, I just want to drone for 8 straight hours clicking in one direction and never having to backtrack or pay attention to mechanics at all, in which case then yeah, I think you're right. You should just be able to autos do it whenever you want to.
I think it really just goes back to like, what is the goal of a nightmare dungeon, though? It is still to
Yeah,
do it quick, and these are things that purposely, it's kind of like an immunity phase in a boss fight, right? It is purposely slowing you down to engage with
sure.
something that we know you don't have to do in other dungeons. So those Nahatu dungeon keys that I get are the ones I'm running significantly more than the other
They don't have
ones.
any animus carrier ones.
No. So
Interesting.
all of your Nahatu dungeons are, you just go through them and you find the boss exit, kill the boss, and it is over. And then all the other activities within the dungeon are optional, right? You
I
free
guess
the
I hadn't realized
slaves,
that
you free
all of them
the,
were that way.
right.
Yeah.
So it is a better key to run because it's going to be quicker. You can, find your way to the monsters and kill as many as you want anyway.
Hmm.
And there's just like that optimum, like the optimum strategy for a nightmare dungeon. In tandem, like, you also can avoid some of the pitfalls. So the first escalating dungeon that I did, I waited till torment because that's where the loot is going to be a little bit better. I did an
Yeah, that's why I
escalating
waited
dungeon,
too. Yeah.
and the first one I got was, a Kiovashad one, and it involves kill all the monsters on this floor to continue on.
Hmm.
And one of the monsters spawned outside of the area. So I could
Oh,
not
yikes.
kill all the monsters, which, again, had that been a Nahatu one, I wouldn't have had to worry about because I could just move my druid slowly to the boss and have then moved on.
Yeah, but you're locked because of the mechanic.
Right. So I had to
Yeah.
abandon the first one, and that was kind of frustrating because it's like, oh, I finally am going to have
Especially in an
access to
escalating one.
this,
Yeah.
and now I can't. So it is kind of frustrating to see some of those issues with Nightmare Dungeons still existing in the season in which they have said we're revamping Nightmare Dungeons,
That's the purpose of this. Yeah. Hmm.
right? Where it's like, yes, there are some changes here. I think escalating dungeons are good. The horde rooms are fun, um, to an extent, right?
I do like the horde rooms. Yeah. It feels like tribute, but I really like Undercity, so
Right.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind those kind of things existing. I like adding in flavor, and I think, like I've said, like, that's what Diablo needs. Is it needs more things to change the things that we're used to. I'm all for that.
Hmm.
But when those things are layered on top of things that you didn't like to begin with, when you
It
say,
makes it tough.
yeah, it's a lot harder. Where I'm like, I look at certain keys, I'm just like, I don't want to do that one. Like, it's gonna suck.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked. Like, I've just gone, okay, what's the next key in the list? And I just go. That's it. Like, I understand it though, but I'm also not in Torment yet, not max level yet. I'm just kind of cruising through the leveling experience. So I mean, obviously that'll shift pretty dramatically, but I think that that's what I've enjoyed the most about this season is that like it's just like click a button in my inventory and go, and it's been that the whole season. So I haven't like tried to like jump out and do Legion events like I normally do, or like jump and do Helltide here or there, or whatever it is. I've just kind of just engaged with the mechanic, and that's all I've done. And I mean, I'm leveling pretty quick. It's going pretty smooth, and it's been fun. I really do think the changes are positive, but that sucks that you had that little bug happen. I haven't tried one yet, so I'll
Well,
see.
in tandem with that, what you did miss by not starting day one, and it took about 2 days to fix, is Nightmare Dungeon keys weren't dropping on completion either.
Yeah, so you were running out very quickly. Yeah,
Right. So it became even harder to kind of sustain. And it is much better now, but
yeah,
it is the first 2 days of a season. You're touting a new mechanic, and then this crops up right away in which you're not even able to fully engage with the mechanic.
yeah.
That can lead to some more frustrations 2 years in to still and what I will state is like every game when it comes out with a new season has bugs and has
Patch.
issues
Yeah,
and needs to be
issues. Yeah,
patched. I
some
think
more than others, but yeah.
this one just seems like it was a little bit more glaring of like there is something that will hinder your player from being able to engage with the core mechanic of your season
Mhm.
that shouldn't have gone live.
Well, and again, they take such wild swings after PTR that you're gonna, as long as they continue to do it, you're gonna see those problems happen. I mean, kudos to them; they were quick to act on it and fix it. Right? I
Hmm.
would say that they did the best they could in the situation with what happened. But I think it's a side effect of having a PTR, allowing testing, which is great and amazing and awesome, and please continue to do so. But then taking such wild swings with that you're going to break other stuff. And so, testing further would probably be beneficial in those regards. I don't know. I don't know how they'd have to change their cadence, their cycle a little bit to do that. And they probably don't want to do that either. But like I said, they were quick to change it. So I mean, by the time I got in, it was fine. That was like a whole
Right.
like 4 or 5 days late. But so I don't know if that's ideal, but it was like 24 hours though, right? It wasn't more than a day, was it?
I want to say it was like a day, maybe a day and a half, but
Okay.
yeah, f- close enough that was fine. It was before the fourth, all that kind of stuff, but it
Mhm.
did make the initial experience, if you are a day one launcher, like not as fun, and that slows everything down. And I think like the other big issue with Diablo 4, since you do not replay the campaign, right? You jump right into that loop of whatever the season is going to push you, be it, the multicolored Helltides, vaults, and now it's Nightmare
Nightmare
Dungeons.
Dungeons.
And then
Yep.
it's like, oh, that part of the loop is missing. it just doesn't feel good. And then you're significantly slowed down as a result. So a bummer that it
Yeah.
happened. Glad that it's fixed. But again, for a season that is focused on that retooling of Nightmare Dungeons, a little bit more would go a long way. Just
Right.
clean up the stuff that has really actually been issues since launch.
Well, yeah, I guess the question becomes how long is that list and how realistic is it for fixes to get in there? But
Right. Yeah. I
I imagine game design is a lot like owning a home in that you never stop working on it, right? It's never perfect. You could refine it and refine it and refine it and update and change and tweak and whatever for years and years and years and years. At some point you got to go, okay, enough's enough.
right.
So, but the problem is I think is there's so many glaring things that were fixed in other iterations of Diablo, like Diablo 3, which I know you mentioned at kind of the top there, that like you just go, wow, like could you not have just pulled that in, like continued the updates you had already made to this game to make it better and just continued that and built upon it rather
Right.
than learning and making the same mistakes all over again?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
is one of the big things with D4 and like the seasonal model, and we've talked about it before, but seasons and paid expansions just do not seem to be vibing. It seems like these seasons are kind of just tiding everybody over a little bit, but they're not bringing in these bigger changes that you would hope, and then you just have to wait for what an expansion would bring. And like in a
Right.
game that's meant to have these seasons and want player engagement, kind of has the opposite, where you're just like, okay, it's kind of the same thing. I'm gonna not play this one. I'm gonna take this season off or the next season off, as opposed to be constantly being engaged with the game continuously. Um, it can, I think, in some ways, slow things down, and that feels good. And that is something we talked about, I believe, last time as well, right? So let's not beat a dead horse, right? I will say I have been enjoying, like I said, I have been enjoying season 9 a lot more. I might
I mean,
find
I don't think
myself playing an alt even. I know. I'm kind of surprised by that myself.
amazing. I mean, like the truth is, and I don't think anyone can argue this any other way. Like every season of Diablo 4 has been an improvement upon the last season. Like every season has gotten better because the game continues to get better. So yeah, the season's been awesome. I mean, I've honestly had a lot of fun with it so far. Um, I'm nowhere near ending my rope. In fact, I'm just beginning it. I don't know if I'll go alt. Typically, if I've
You
done alt,
just
I've done
never
alt
do
Sork.
anyway. Yeah, exactly. That's not.
No, no, no. I've played every character up to max level. I've played every character up to max level except for Spiritborn. I still actually have not done Spiritborn.
Well, you paid for it. You may as well.
I did. And they're really cool. It's just that like I've had I always go Sork first. Sork's my fave, and um, seasons where I really enjoy it, I might even play a second Sork and play a second Sork build instead of. That's what originally what I did is preseason and then season 1, 2, 3, 4. As I played Sork, and then I probably played another Sork, and then I would play Rogue in preseason, and then it was like Barbarian the next season, Necro the next season, so on and so forth. I just haven't done it with Spiritborn yet because I've either burnt out before I got that second wind, and did not continue, or um, I just ended up liking the Sork so much I played it nonstop. So it just depends.
That's fair. I don't know what my alt would be. Sork, maybe, because they are absolutely destroying everything at the moment,
Oh yeah.
courtesy of some
Oh, it's
bugged
so good.
interactions. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I guess bugged and non-bugged. I don't know what's bugged right now. I probably should look into the research of it, right? Because I actually have not seen that, but I know that there's something with Lightning Sphere that's messed up,
right.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But Hydra feels very strong. I don't know if it's because of a bug, but it's really good. I'm enjoying it quite a lot for sure.
Which, hey, maybe that'll be my journey. I don't think I've played a Sork since Loot Reborn, so that would be.
Have you seen the power that's being used with the Hydra build? That's kind of what makes it so different and fun, because like you run the disintegrate power. That's what I'm running at least with it, and it attaches to your Hydra and to you, so it becomes like almost like that. What was the Diablo 3 affix with the sword that gave you the fire thing that chained to your mercenary and you could like run around and hit people with it? Imagine if that actually did crazy good damage.
Hmm,
So like you like drop your Hydra strategically so that you have a beam between the two of you and then just run around and just melt the whole room
huh.
with that beam. It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool.
I might have to look into it.
I don't
Um,
think it's going to be how you play it end game or like, top tier pit, but while
right.
leveling in early game, it's been pretty fun to play. So
Okay. Well, like I said, I think this season has a little bit more legs to it for myself. However, I have seen some sentiment from a lot of people pointing out that this it just doesn't vibe. It is more of the same, and I totally get that. I think my big benefit was
sure.
not playing a lot the past 2 seasons. I mean, last season
Yeah.
was just not for me. It just didn't work, and then the season before, I just kind of like that was the Witch Power one. I went
Yep.
through that one real quick, like where I was just kind of done. Thank you, Bloodwave Necromancer. But
Yeah.
um, this one again, it's got a little bit more legs, and we will we will see. Like, let's come back next podcast, and ideally at that point, you're probably in torment, if not higher, and we can chat and see how we are feeling then. Have you burned out from Nightmare Dungeons? Um, are you getting sick of the Haragic aspect? One thing I will point out with the Haragic powers, I'm a little bummed that you can't do it for everything. Like,
What do you
I
mean?
that you can't assign a Haragic power to every skill.
Oh, I can, or I have been able to so far.
No, I mean simultaneously.
Oh, like, well, dude, that would be so busted.
Well, I guess the initial thought, because I didn't do PTR, was like, hey, you can assign these skills. You can make, like, I was like, oh, so you get to like go in and change all the skills you were using. And yes, you technically do, but it's only one. Where I'm like, oh, it'd be so
Yeah,
much cooler if all of my skills were changed as a result of this power in some
yeah.
way. Like, oh, that would be, but I digress. That's minor. It's not anything. But speaking of future
I mean,
powers,
here's what has made me excited about with it is that it looks like they're testing other skills, which, like, how would you best add disintegrate to the game? Add it to the skill tree, please God. Like, I just like some of these are really fun. They're really cool. I've really liked the flavor. Like, at first, there's so many pieces to it that it looks a little more like daunting than your average seasonal mechanic. But once you get into it, you realize it's pretty simple, pretty rudimentary. But man, it's like I've like genuinely enjoyed the disintegrate. I was not a disintegrate wizard in Diablo 3. I did not love that play style, but we were stuck doing it quite often, either through actual disintegrate or through Archon's disintegrate, if everyone remembers. But it's been fun. Like, the kind of change in the way it attaches to Hydra has been cool. The Celestial Surge is very fun. I ran that for a little while. That was pretty cool. Astral Pillar, I played around with that with like a poison thing, so it like shot a pillar up and like taunted enemies. I mean, these are pretty different spells from what already exists, but even putting them in as like additional trees off of other skills would be really cool. So I hope that that's what the intent with this is if they're gonna bring this into the game, do it in the skill tree, not in the loot. Is all I ask. That would be the thing I would want the
well,
most.
the I'll play devil's advocate here though. We've seen a lot of that kind of stuff in these seasonal powers, and we've said this before of like, oh, this would be great if it was implemented in the skill tree, and
Right,
it hasn't been. However,
right.
like what, shortly after the campfire, you did have Adam Fletcher on
Yep.
Twitter, Blue Sky, on the internet, posting something to the effect of saying like, hey, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, a lot of big things that we're excited about, but we can't talk about them yet.
Right.
Which
We're not ready to show this stuff yet. Yeah.
totally makes sense.
Hmm.
um, but maybe that is what you are hoping for, and what I think everybody's hoping for,
Sure.
is seeing that skill tree become a little bit more fleshed out. And what you're describing there a little bit is like last epoch system skill trees for your skills, which is pretty exciting. Like when you can
Yeah.
customize a skill in the game so that it becomes yours, which is what we're literally doing with the tragic powers, but now it's actually implemented into the skill tree. That would be great. That is a big
Right.
weakness of Diablo 4. Skill trees, just you get a lot of points, but then even I struggle like as I go through the build of like I guess I'll just put it here. It's fine ish. I don't. I guess like
Well, I mean, like I think that there's skill trees that have a lot of nodes, and then there's skill trees that have a lot of impactful and complex choices with nodes. I think that even path can run into, like, a basic stat increase, and it's equally stupid. So I think that, like, expanding the skill tree should be more interesting than just, plus 10 armor on this piece, or whatever it is. Like, don't just give me a flat stat, or give me something that gives me a cool interaction or cool change. Again, like, the idea of feeling like the power from our character comes from our skill tree and our character and our choices from our character, instead of just the loot, I think would better balance the feeling of control over the agency of your build and agency of how you're playing your character. I feel like it being so tied to the gear makes the gear extra important, which, duh, it's a Diablo game. You want that to be extra important. But I mean, again, the best ARPG, or what everyone says is the best ARPG, was Diablo 2, and body runs sucked. But when you had to do body runs, your skills still did damage. They still hurt shit. They still did. It was a different feel altogether.
and absolutely. I mean, I'm just thinking like wolves for druid. There are aspects that literally just kind of change the wolves' shape and give them a few modifiers. Like, that doesn't feel like an
Mm,
aspect. That feels like something on a skill tree. Like, I should be
sure.
choosing wolves and then branching off into the werewolf option. And
Yeah.
then giving them that lightning infusion, giving them something else where like I've made a meaningful choice and this will always happen, not because of the aspect I've slotted in, but because I chose that. Or there's one in
Right.
which you have hurricane going around your wolves. Why is that an
Mm.
aspect? Why is that not something that I'm building? And then I can, bounce around my tree a little bit more.
Take it further if you want to. Yeah.
Exactly, and enhance that in some way, and it all feels very logical because like those things are already built there. I just have to go through a bunch of not fun ways to
Yeah.
get that to happen, and that would be again more exciting and then more unique, and then like that just leads to more fun, and I think that's the end goal, right? To have more
Yeah, for
fun.
sure.
Um,
It's a video game, right? Yeah,
right.
it's the whole mission.
That's the real point. But let's circle back to that. We'll come on back to Diablo 4 conversation next time. Uh let's move to Diablo 3. Let's do something. So this is the part of the podcast where if you hated Diablo 3, stick around because you can voice your complaints about it. If you love Diablo 3, stick around cuz you can voice your love for it. And if you never played Diablo 3, I don't know what you were doing. At some point, you kind of had to. It felt like everybody was playing it at one point. Um, I guess if you're just a true Diablo 2 diehard and you never let that go, I got I got nothing for you. You're at a loss
Yeah.
here. Maybe you learned something.
Yeah.
With Diablo 4 hitting its 2-year mark, more conversation has been going out talking about Diablo 3, talking about how much they miss it or how much they enjoyed it, how much Diablo 4 can learn from it. And I felt like I was taking crazy pills seeing this stuff come
The internet,
back.
the entire internet just gaslighting you into thinking that you're the only one that didn't care for Diablo 3.
It's not that I didn't care for Diablo 3. I did care for Diablo 3, right? Like
Okay.
we go way
Yeah.
back in the
You guys
day.
old homies. I got it. I
Um,
got it.
I joined Diablo Inc. Gamers as a writer, talking about hardcore before Diablo 3 was coming out. And then played it, talked about it, went on a podcast, had plenty of conversations,
Hmm.
and then it started to fizzle. Right. Then we got an expansion, and same thing. I enjoyed it, but my passion was starting to wane, and life was getting in the way. And then for years, we were just waiting for Diablo 4. In fact, this podcast started as we were waiting for Diablo 4. There was a lot of
Hmm.
sentiment about waiting for Diablo 4. In fact, a lot of people wanted Diablo 4. So to start seeing that conversation come up um, about Diablo 3 was interesting to me.
Was different. Yeah.
Yeah. So why are we glazing Diablo 3?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't read a lot of the general sentiment. I don't even know where I would at this point. I mean,
Internet,
just
man. All sorts of stuff on that internet.
state of the world. The internet is less pleasant to travel than ever, and it's never been super pleasant to travel. So
Hmm.
I stay off of that highway as much as I can. That said, I always liked Diablo 3. I mean, yeah, it had issues for sure. There were some definitely weird choices, design choices, there were problems, right? But overall, like I enjoyed the game. I could talk, we could do hundreds of podcasts. We did about Diablo 3. They're there, they're out there, they exist. Um, but I mean, overall, I always enjoyed every iteration of Diablo 3, even the least popular, least favorite ones. I still was playing. I played every season of that up until Diablo 4 came out, and I at least moderately enjoyed every single season. Um, and I played really heavy on some of those seasons too. I mean, I played. I've probably put as many hours into Diablo 3 at this point in my life as I have Diablo 2. Um, that's just I don't have anything that's tracking my Diablo 2 time from back in the day, so it's hard to completely gauge. but it feels relatively equal. Um, so I don't know why the rose colored glasses for everybody else now. If it is a big sentiment that's happening, I would say maybe it's because of some of the changes that we're bringing to Diablo 4 are changes that Diablo 3 had already learned from and should have been brought in at launch. So maybe there's some like, oh, this feels like Diablo 3 because that's the way Diablo 4 feels in moments now. Um, but I always thought it was a strong game, and we were always kind of fighting the people that just absolutely slandered it for no reason. It wasn't perfect for everybody for sure, but I thought it was always I mean, a very very good product at the end of the day.
Well, I thought it sucked. No, I have like a love-hate relationship with Diablo 3. I played a lot of it. Um, I very much loved the witch doctor class.
Yep,
Um,
I remember. Way
not
cooler than druids, by the way.
eh,
Just putting that out there.
that's
Way cooler than druids.
I mean, they could summon their pets and do damage and a lot of
They
cool
could.
stuff with them.
They
Um,
could. Yep.
okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent. Give me a second here. We're
Okay.
gonna come back
I'm
to the
here for
Diablo 3 conversation. I want to talk a little bit about Diablo Immortal. I don't do that very often.
it. Uh-oh,
Diablo
I triggered
Immortal
Xanth, guys.
introduced a druid.
It did.
Um, the druid is pretty cool. It it's got wolves. Check. Uh, it's got a fire tornado. Yeah, that's right. Fire as an element to a druid, which was ever present in Diablo 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but a fire tornado? Yes, please. And then most importantly, it gets its own grizzly bear. That's right, a bear. An iconic skill for the druid making its way to a different version of Diablo. That's a little frustrating when you had the opportunity. Drop in a new skill for druid. What does every druid want? A bear companion. What do we get?
Yeah.
Stone burst. And I'm not nearly as salty about that as I could be. But I
Sure.
digress. I digress. Okay, go back to Diablo 3. No, I I did really enjoy Diablo 3, but the loop of Diablo 3 became stale for me. It
Sure.
find your sets, push rifts, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the gist of it, right? Uh,
Right.
I think like when it switched to the endless paragon is when I started to kind of fade out because it just felt like I like an ending. I've always kind of liked that. I think that's what I liked about Diablo 4 when it came out of like, hey, no, you hit 100. It's kind of, hey, you did it. You can still find loot and all that kind of stuff, but you don't have to keep pushing for this endless, small, incremental um, change, right? That's where I started to fall off. I think if anything, instead of glazing Diablo 3, there should be kind of like, hey, these are some of the mistakes that Diablo 3 made that Diablo 4 is currently making, right? Diablo 4's moved the goalpost on Paragon. We used to have a cap. We don't. We got that. I mean, we still have a cap, but
Let's say
ha-
there's a cap. Yeah.
have you hit Paragon 300 in a season?
Not yet at all. No.
Would you want
In
to?
fact, I think I haven't. I no. No. It's like just no.
Right,
No, it's not worth the grind. Like I mean, but like that's okay though. Like again, like most people didn't hit 99 in Diablo 2,
right,
right? I did one time in the original Diablo 2 and I did one time in Resurrected. And now like I pushing a character past 90 is just I mean really 87, what's the point, So
right,
there's not really a whole lot of point. If you just want to jump in and find loot, you could do that, at much lower level than 99. And so like in Diablo 4, it's the same way. Like the loop you're playing once you hit Torment 1. The loop just becomes bigger number, like you said.
right,
So like I've experienced it. If I want to keep pushing the difficulty because I'm bored and that grind exists, then awesome, that's great. If I don't, I've experienced it. So
right.
No, I've never felt the need. Now, would I love like a race to like max level Paragon 300? Sure, that'd be great. That would might incentivize me to want to try it, and I would probably do it, you know, in that regard. But there's no reason to do it right now. Even if I wouldn't be able to genuinely compete with some of the big streamers in the world, I would actually try and have fun and like, stay up late and try to min max as best I could to do it. That would be a fun excursion. But that's not Diablo 4, and that's okay too. That's totally okay because honestly, my sleep schedule is thankful.
Right, right. So what does Diablo 3 do right that Diablo 4 doesn't?
Um, I let me rephrase that and pitch it back to you. What I would say, what I guess like what is it? So the question is, what is Diablo 4 done, or what is Diablo 3 done right that Diablo 4 doesn't? I would look at it as more like Diablo 4 does a lot more right than Diablo 3 ever did. Um, I think that there are problems with Diablo 4, but I think that those problems were bigger problems in Diablo 3, except for some of the quality of life stuff that was duh. Like teleporting to dungeons and teleporting to your friends. It's like stuff like that, right? Like that was just like, come on, like that was we didn't have to fight for that in Diablo 3. That was out of the box. We just got that. Which is like that just happened. Do we not think we would want that in a massive online version of Diablo 4? Right. Um, but like I don't want endless Paragon in Diablo 4. That would be cancer, right? Like I think their system for Paragon is much better than what was in Diablo 4. I think that the UI was simpler for Diablo 3, and Diablo, like honestly, like give me the Diablo 4 Paragon system as a UI like Diablo 3, and I guarantee you there might be a few more stats, but it's basically the same thing, right? Like so that's why I've always said since the beginning is like, why this big complicated tree? Just give me the button to go up. That's all you want me to do anyway, is just make button, make stat get bigger. So just give me an arrow to make it do that instead of trying to figure out this elaborate path to min max for like literally 0.5% of extra, damage or damage mitigation. But so yeah, I don't know. Do people want endless Paragon? I don't. I really don't. Like I genuinely dislike that in Diablo 3. I like that Paragon 300 is not something you can just attain by strapping in and beating your head against the keyboard. Like it's a pretty big grind. It takes some time. People that do it, like they can kind of wear that badge of honor. I think that's really cool. Um, yeah, I don't. To me, I think that maybe the Rift and Grift system was pretty cool, but I also felt like you didn't see the world. I mean, obviously, I know doing rifts and grifts, you're seeing tile sets from the world, but I do like the feel of Diablo 4 of actually going to Skosglen and going to, these different places. Like, they've done a good job at keeping you engaged in the entirety of the map and wanting and needing to go to different places. I think Nightmare Dungeons is running the risk of us just, town simulator, right? In town, teleport, in town, teleport, in town, teleport, which is again also okay. But I think as quality of life things get better, I hope that it still is able to maintain the identity of what it feels like to kind of ride through to try to get to a world boss timer on time. Because those are still kind of fun too. So I don't know. I don't think that Diablo 3 is a better game.
Good. I will say, like, in some ways, in looking at Diablo 3, like the end game felt more clear, right? It just didn't. I feel like in Diablo 4, there's a lot of steps, right? There's a lot of steps
Sure.
to do all the things. And then that one block goes missing, and now you're forced to do the chores, right? You got to do the content that you don't particularly want to engage with.
Well, hang on. So let's extrapolate that because I'm actually curious. So like, what do you mean, right? So like in Diablo 4, you did rifts to get keys to do grifts. You did grifts to just push as high as you could go to level your legendary gems and continue to find better and better loot that allowed you to just continue the same process.
Right.
In Diablo 4, you said so you feel like it's just. I mean, I guess yeah. Where's the disconnect there? I guess for you with Diablo 4, where it feels like less straightforward, or it feels more convoluted because there's so many systems that do the same thing. Because
So
essentially, we're doing the same thing in Diablo 4.
there are a lot of systems that do the exact same thing, but they offer the lesser rewards. Let's go to like boss mats, right? Certain
Okay.
boss mats are locked behind certain things that if I want to get them, I'm probably best suited to engage with content that I don't particularly want to if that boss is holding the particular item that I'm looking for, right? And now I have to go and engage with that for whatever reason. Um, or go back to Nightmare Dungeon keys, right? Like during that first 2 days when it was not operational. All right, now what's the best way to get Nightmare Dungeon keys? All right, I guess I need to go. I'm gonna go do some Hell Tides, pray for the best, right? I'm gonna have to go engage with things I don't want to because something is holding me back from getting to where I need to be, right? That clear cutness of Diablo 3, I think, is a nice benefit of like I'm just gonna go do this one thing, right? And that's where all the stuff that I want is going to be. Like I said, grift to or a rift to greater rift, right? That pretty clear cut. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm
And
doing.
then and then you had every so often what you had to do? Go do some bounties.
Yeah.
You had to go do some bounties because you needed that ring of royal grandeur, or you needed, to unlock some things for the journey or whatever it was, right? So like that existed in Diablo 3 as
Oh,
well,
it
right?
did. I just
Yeah.
think there are more chore systems currently in Diablo 4 than there were in Diablo 3.
More, but okay, so like I guess the way I look at it is that like Hell Tides, Infernal Hordes, Nightmare Dungeons, all of those are just different forms of rifts. That's all they are. They're just
Oh,
different forms of rifts that give you a certain thing that you need for a certain activity.
right,
But like you can finish the season journey without masterworking your whole set, right? So you don't really have to touch pit at all,
right.
except for to go through the journey or to unlock different pieces that you want to go do. I mean, but I think that that's the thing about Diablo 4 that is beneficial is that there are different things to do that aren't exactly the same thing, which is just rifts and grifts. I don't love the boss ladder system. I think the pit could use some retooling and some reworking a little bit, not like a full like overhaul, but just make things a little bit better in moments. But I think that that's the thing that Diablo 4 does well is it does give a bevy of options. It's Diablo, so the game is still the game, point, click, shoot, kill, right, whatever. Um, but I think that giving those different avenues to do that has helped a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, imagine Diablo 4 was just rifts, grifts, and bounties, and like none of the other stuff that exists. That's a shit game we wouldn't play.
Well, we have Diablo 3 at home, right? Um,
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
I would just love to see like let have Infernal Hordes lead to their own thing, right? Have Nightmare Dungeons lead to their own particular things. Like have them kind of like I would love to have a character that just specializes in Infernal Hordes, and that can be a way to get my character to be the most powerful it is, right? Um, and it seems as if your character kind of has to be just the best around everything, and that just makes everything kind of feel the same, right? And you kind of said before, like Nightmare Dungeons, Infernal Hordes, Legions, they're all kind
They're
of
all just
just the
different forms of
same
rifts.
thing.
Right.
Exactly. And like I
Yeah.
think that sameness when you have to kind of bounce between them to get the different pieces that you need, be it, masterwork and materials, be it keys, be it um uh boss mats, whatever, that sameness just doesn't feel as cool. Like they're always more exciting when they're introduced, right? Like, hey, this is something
Yeah.
new to play with until it's like, oh, well, now I just kind of have to do it because it's the most powerful new system that is supplanting all the other ones that are there.
Yeah. I I'm not gonna make this better for sure because like again, I think that the problem is like the community doesn't want to do anything different, right? Like they try to add traps in to give you a pretty dramatically different way to play it. Everyone just bitches and moans
I
until
like
we
the
can just
traps.
run. But you didn't. Did you sit around and dodge them all, or did you just
Yes.
find like ways to
I mean, like,
maximize? Okay, well
it,
there you go.
like I would try to engage with it as best I could if I
Right,
could,
and that's
right?
awesome. But the community was not into it,
Right.
right? They try to add different mechanics from Nightmare Dungeons, right? Like save these hostages or go grab this key and whatever, right? And like, yeah, sure, some of it's a little like a little annoying, but at the same time, like that it's fetch quests in video games, guys. It's what we do in like every RPG you play ever. But for some reason in Diablo, I don't want to do it in my dungeon. I just want to like roll my face across the keyboard, smash monsters, get loot in a reasonable amount of time. But I also want it to keep me interested long enough for me to like retire and play this game for 35 years. We are not a reasonable group of people for our demands for a video game. That said, I don't I like I'm the same way. I'm not any better, right? I don't want a Dark Souls in my Diablo. So these boss fights that have all these mechanics and all, they look cool. That's awesome. I don't want to spend my time dodging a boss and trying to find the right. I don't care. That's not fun to me at all. Um, I don't like the boss ladder at all. I don't. I wish they'd remove it and just make all uniques and legendaries random drops. Give me maybe some dungeons that have like. I would love it if Nightmare Dungeons had those drop tables instead of a boss, right?
I
And not like you're going to get a mythic if you run this. Like you have a like 1 in 10 million chance that you're going to get a mythic unique out of any dungeon. But in this dungeon, you can get a Shaco as that 1 out of 10 million. So now I'm running that dungeon nonstop because if I need that Shaco, right? That's how you create it. Like locate it to like lock away the items to a location, to a dungeon, to a type of monster to give us a reason to farm those things. Would make it more interesting than splitting up into all these different systems. That said, again, everyone that plays Diablo wants to just run fast, smash monsters. Um,
I honestly
so
honestly
yeah,
though, I think your idea works with both, and that has been a struggle of like what are the point of the bosses? Are they pinnacle content or are they loot pinatas?
yeah,
And like
right.
if
If
it
they're pinnacle, make them harder, make them super tough, but
and
don't put them on the season journey, please. It's like.
well, I think it's also like when and Diablo has a history of you farm bosses, right? And usually
Right.
Diablo 2 it's trivial because like that's
But the
where
games weren't. But hang on, can we quantify though? But that's not how the games were like made. Like
right.
they didn't make the butcher in Diablo 1 for you to farm him over and over and over again. They didn't make, the smith in Diablo 2 like so that you would farm them like that or, Neilthok. Like they did not expect us to make those little 30-second Neilthok runs in Diablo 2 the way they did. The community came up with that for efficiency purposes.
Right.
Um so yeah, just to be clear, I don't think any design implementation was intended for some of that, but here we are all these years later, and this is what we do to these Diablo games.
I think that that is a really good point to like go back and like Diablo 2 is revered because of what the community was able to create it into and the amazing product that was put out and then obviously the play style that emerged from that product. And then what we're seeing is echoing out into Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 taking that lesson and not really changing it, right? So that
Yeah,
we
we're trying
we
to
still have to run
lightning
these
strike
bosses,
twice.
right? And as
Right.
opposed to like saying, okay, well, one of the other fun parts about Diablo was the fact that I could get a Stone of Jordan by kicking a barrel, right?
Right. Yeah, you could find that same Shaco that only drops in this dungeon I was just talking about, but you can get that right at level 1 and it work with you all the way up and be amazing.
Right. And
Um,
I think D4
yeah.
is lacking in that. And I love that idea that you suggested. If Nightmare Dungeons also like instead of having to worry about collecting a bunch of boss mats to fight a boss that I don't particularly
Let me just go
enjoy
spam a dungeon over and over again, right?
and
Like
find
I need Azurath. Cool. Put Azurath in the dungeon that Beast and Ice is in. Not against Beast and Ice, but against the dungeon,
right,
right? And I run it, and all the mobs in there have a higher chance to drop it or something, right? And like whenever I kill the boss, I've got a if I finish the dungeon, I have a higher chance at the end of the loot chest. Like maybe it's a 5% chance or something. Don't make it guaranteed. Make it be a grind. Make it take a while. But put that there. The boss ladder, I feel like, just trivializes the entire loot system because you just do that to get what you need and then go play the game. But by that point, you have all the gear. So what do you need to play the game for?
I think it also makes bosses in general feel not that good to overcome. Like,
Well, we talked about that last time about
right.
pinnacle versus loot. If it's there for loot, then let's make it about loot. If it's there for pinnacle, let's make it pinnacle. But pretending like they're going to be hard, challenging, complicated fights, and they're not going to be just loot pinatas we blow up as fast as possible, like shows the disconnect between design and effect, I think.
Yeah. And the thing is, all of these bosses are capable of being that. They have the mechanics, they have those things.
Yeah,
It
for
just
sure.
like, why doesn't anybody want to fight Andariel, right? Or
Right.
even go further, because Andariel has a loot table. Why does nobody want to do and fight Uber Lilith?
Yeah.
She doesn't drop anything worthwhile. Like, there's
Right.
nothing
But if
there.
she had an item that only she dropped, right?
Right.
Like imagine like you need a like let's say you're doing a Grail list in Diablo 2 and you need a Tyrael's Might. Well, have fun. Right? Like
Yeah.
have fun. There's like three different places. Now, mind you, this is before Resurrected. Obviously, Resurrected that changed for the better and is so much better in many regards. But like you're doing pit runs, right? Like you can drop off like Diablo and Bale, possibly Worldstone monsters and the pit, and that's it. So now you know what you're playing. If that's what you need, that's all you want. That's all you need. That's what you're grinding, right? And I think that there are so much to do in the world of Sanctuary in Diablo 4. There's thousands of these, I mean, hundreds of these dungeons. I think that putting loot in the dungeon, go figure in a dungeon crawl, putting loot in the dungeon, and I think could be really cool. Would it fix the problem? I don't know. Spoiler alert, team. I'm not a video game developer. This is just an idea, but I think it could be cool.
I
Um,
I
yeah,
don't disagree. I mean, I think knowing that I am going through these nightmare dungeons, just like Path of Exile with maps, right? Those are exciting because they have that, like, hey, anything could drop here. Who knows? Maybe I will find that thing that I'm looking for. That feels better than, well, I got enough Obdicite so I can masterwork from 9 to 10 now. So maybe
yeah,
it'll hit on the right affects and things will be good. Probably won't, but it'd be cool if it did. Like, that's not as fun because it's also that delayed reward, right? I'm
right.
waiting. I have to finish the dungeon, then I'll go back, I'll masterwork. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. That's not that exciting. And coming back to like the Diablo 3 of it all, like what other things that I think Diablo 3 did really well, early sets. Do you remember those? And like this is kind of like dating, like going back to like the early game of Diablo 3 when
Like
sets,
leveling sets,
leveling sets,
yeah, yeah, Ashira's and yeah, there were a
materials,
couple of them that were pretty good. Yep, yep.
and like
Kane set was really good
cane
because it
set,
gave extra
cane set,
XP. It was
not
like 25% XP or
right.
30%. Yeah,
Yeah, those
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because you would even like make builds later when you were farming rifts that incorporated those sets because they had some that gave more rift keys, right? Which was really cool. Like what if an armor set would give you more nightmare dungeon sigils? That's pretty wild. That's different, right? That's pretty cool. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot they can play with, but it's all taken stuff from their old games. I think that like Diablo has always suffered from the Diablo 2 isms, and they're always going to because Diablo 2 is I mean, is it a perfect game? No. Was it was it the right game at the right time, hitting the right people? Absolutely. And I think that they've been chasing that feeling ever since, right? Like I don't they've never been able to recreate it, and the more people try to recreate it, the less it comes off that way and the more it comes off like, you know, way less than. That
the
said,
the
like
other
Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 are both standalone in big ways from Diablo 2. So,
the other part of like the Diablo creation, right, is the big elephant in the room when it comes to Diablo is Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 are Blizzard North. Diablo 3
yeah.
and Diablo
It was a
4,
specific group of people, right?
right.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
I've gotten flack for it, but I genuinely want to see this team make Diablo 5 because I think there's a lot of learning that happens, right? A lot of things
But
that go
that's the
along the way.
yes. But the problem is capitalism.
Oh,
So, and we're gonna fix that on this podcast in this episode. Actually, we're gonna fix capitalism.
right.
But
As I mean, Microsoft is laying off people left and right,
left and
which
right.
honestly is something to worry about, even with this franchise. Right? I don't think that there won't be another new Diablo game. Right? But Microsoft is looking heavy at a lot of their companies right now, looking where the money's going. These battle passes, let's uh, are they making enough? Is everything coming in strong? Is the player count high enough? Are they going to limit, how much stuff is coming down the Diablo pipeline? Who knows? Right. And that's not like, hey, go out and buy a battle pass and keep everything going. But you're right. It doesn't matter anymore if a game does well or has a loyal fan base. Um, Stock market
Is it
needs to go
is it
up.
did the shareholders enjoy the revenue it's bringing them? That is what matters. As with everything in this world. But I mean, it's we're being a little dystopic and
Well,
glib, but
we
the
live in a
truth, but the
dystopia. So,
there you go. But the truth is that like that's the difference, right? Like Blizzard North and what they were doing with Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. Yes, obviously there were people that were invested, that were investors invested. But that team had a lot more autonomy and freedom to make art and to make what they loved and to, you know, they also worked their hands to the bone and, were not, I mean, it's really about what you're willing to be exploited by in life, right? Like which system are you willing to accept will exploit you in order for you to get ahead. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 were just came at the right team at the right time. Could those same guys make another Diablo 2? No, because they split up and they all went off to make their own with the Torchlights of the world and so many other variants of the Diablo franchise, and none of them landed the same because they just won't. It was special what happened with that group, and I don't know that anyone's gonna be able to recreate it again. It's the same thing I'm saying about about it translates to other video games as well too. There's something that's pure about a team being able to make art without the influence of a corporate board. I mean, people that have problems with the MCU, people that have problems with, I mean, name an intellectual property. At some point, some company fucked it up, right? Some idiot failed upward enough to be in a position to be able to infect the thing that you love with capitalism instead of art. And it became a problem. But capitalism also pays all the bills. So here we are. It is what it is. I just hope that the Diablo 4 team has good enough retention numbers. That was kind of the point I was getting to, is that with the way corporate America works, chances are 50 to 70% of that entire team will not work at Blizzard by the time Diablo 5 is out, because that's how turnover works. Mind you, Blizzard has better turnover retention than most companies in that field, but they are also not immune to the layoffs that Microsoft is going through, I'm sure. And we've had several rounds of layoffs at Blizzard over the last 5 years or more. So we'll see. I hope so, because there's some great people on that Diablo team. And I'm sure, like you said, going into Diablo 5, I feel like there would be some pretty cool innovations. But will corporate America allow them the time and the length of rope to do so, or will they pull it too tight and get some new people to come in and make a super sterilized Diablo 5? We'll see.
yeah, I think that is a good point about like looking at the shareholders and what will be dictating what the future of the franchise kind of looks like, because new is a risk, right?
Absolutely, for
And
sure.
risks, they don't always work out. I think
Right.
what Diablo needs is a risk. I strongly believe that Diablo needs to take risks, but
Agreed.
I'm not a shareholder, right? I'm not looking for that consistent conveyor belt of money to be coming in no matter what.
I mean,
I'm
we're always
not
looking for it. We just don't have it. We're not connected to the pipeline, as
right.
it were.
I'm not some
Yeah.
corporate ghoul who's only concerned about the stock portfolio. It that could be the biggest. I think that could be the biggest detriment to the game, and it might also be what we're seeing with the game currently. When a season plays it safe, as we've seen in the past three of kind of that recycled thing, stockholders know what they're getting. They know what to
Yeah.
expect. The people that came back for the season and the season and the season will probably be back because they keep playing. Why do we want to disrupt that flow? Why do we want to change anything if this is currently working, right? And if we go back, as this whole conversation has ideally been supposed to be about Diablo 3, in some ways Diablo 3 didn't have to worry about that. It was a box product, right? There was no battle pass. There was no, um, I guess, double investment. Though granted, I did buy Diablo 3 a few times, right? I bought it at launch, I bought the expansion, I bought it for PlayStation, I bought it for Switch. I've purchased Diablo 3 several times at this point, but I didn't have to pay every time I logged into the season. I didn't have to buy a battle pass. It wasn't a consistent stream of money, and that
Yeah.
has changed. Diablo, I can only imagine will continue with a battle pass of some sort. Will continue, and if we're looking back again at what Diablo 3 did right, I think that was nice, right? That it doesn't have to be a continual grab for cash every time, right?
Yeah. But the problem is games are made by companies,
I know.
unfortunately, not people.
I
They're made
know.
by people, but there's companies that are always there, right? And so it's just, yeah, it is what it is. It's probably, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, no matter how many people want to complain about Diablo 4 or jaded with Diablo 4 or burnout, and hey, look, again, I will be the first to tell you, I get that way too. Take a break, man. Take a break for sure. It just ain't worth your hate, I promise. But that said, like, I think criticism and I think care for the franchise is what's also made Diablo a strong franchise for so many years, is that they work with the community, they hear the community, right? Sometimes things don't land right and they fix it with the community. So like we're lucky that we have you know, the Diablo team gives a shit enough to hear us out at all. Is a fucking blessing. So understand that too, right? So
Yeah,
at the same time, the game's at least made, I mean, it's made over $1 billion, right? Was it
right.
September last year or something? It was like they cleared $1 billion. That's a lot of money.
Hmm.
That is a lot of money. So they have a vested interest in Diablo 5 to be good and for Diablo 4 to continue to get better. That's what gives me hope, is because yes, money talks, and yes, money ruins everything, but Diablo 4 is making a lot of it. So that means that we could continue to get content, and it might continue to get better if the right people make it. And it seems like we're getting on the right track more and more with each season. Just,
Yeah.
I think we're all ready for it to be there.
Someday. I
Yeah.
had another point about Diablo 3. It was I know what it is. Uh in looking back again, I think Diablo 3 locked down trade in the right way. I think they did it right both times. And I know this
I
is
thought it was right the first time.
mhm.
I thought the auction house was incredible. And I wish they'd bring it back. I wouldn't. I don't. If you don't want RMT and you don't want the real money auction house, then that's fine. I understand it totally. Don't put that in there. But an all gold auction house, if we're policing the economy at least, and it seems like they have been. They shut things down when duping becomes. Oh, is it bad
Oh,
again?
so again, you're just coming back.
I
You're
missed it. Oh no.
duping is so rampant of boss mats. It is
Really?
ridiculous. We haven't had a season in which duping has not been a problem. This season,
Oh,
again, I don't know how they keep doing it. Props to you guys for figuring it out. But yeah, duping is a continual problem for boss mats, which then again, we go back to that, like, are they loot pinatas or are they pinnacle content? If by having these dupe mats out there and allowing people to trade them freely, it trivializes that whole portion of it. And then, like, so you are right. I do think, like, hey, if it is policed and done properly, an auction house is awesome. We should have that.
yeah.
But if you can't
It
do
was
that,
super helpful. Yeah.
if you can't do that, then I do think Diablo 3 leaned the right way of just like, nah, fuck it. No trading. Sorry, guys. Kind of the way it is. Now, I love trading. I want to be able to trade. But when the economy is completely in shambles like that, maybe you kind of have to go the other way. Or maybe just
Yeah.
don't allow trading in boss mats and you can then still freely change, but there's still going to be duping them. It, I don't want to fix this. That's not my job here, guys. But
Right.
I
But
think you
I
go
would
one way or
argue.
the other. Don't half-ass
Right.
it.
I
I
was gonna say, I would argue, who gives a shit? Go wild with trading. Just let it happen. What does it matter? Like, we're not, there isn't a fucking world's first Diablo rank, right? No one's getting paid millions of dollars to play Diablo 4. There's not competitive esports arena teams that are signing up to do the Diablo 4 What do we fucking care? It's a video game, boys and girls. If people want to be stupid and whatever, then let them do it. And if you don't, then don't, and you're fine.
I
What's the
mean,
matter?
ultimately, if adding an auction house just makes my life easier because I
Yeah,
don't want to go through
I would
all
only
the
want to see an
hoops.
auction house if they were monitoring it and they were
Yeah.
making sure that they were stopping stuff like that. So if that's not possible, then yeah, maybe you don't do that. You just, but
But like the other side of it, even with all the duping, I don't want to go through the hoops of trading with another player. It is such a pain in the
sure.
ass. Like how do you
I
do
mean,
it? Like I guess there's a trade
it's
channel you can spam. There are
well,
Discord channels.
you can jump on Reddit if you want to.
Right.
I mean, there's Discords, there's Reddits, there's actual trade websites.
But how
I
many
forget the Tradery is really
right.
cool.
But
There are sites, yeah.
how many steps do I have to take to make a simple trade that can be just done in an auction house,
None.
right?
You could literally go into trade chat and type in a trade chat and trade it that way.
I still got to type it out. Like going to an auction house, type
Oh
in,
no, you
yeah,
had to do any work at all that isn't beating your head against a keyboard. Come on, like,
I don't want
you,
to do that.
but how did you have to trade in Diablo 2? You had to make a fucking game and you had to like sit there and wait for someone to join, or you had to join someone else's game, whatever.
that
You still had to talk to people.
that was over 20 years ago, sir. We have
You
the
played Path of
technology.
Exile.
Oh, I hate that trade system, but at least
Okay,
there's an
well then I
auction
can't help
house.
you. Okay, I can't
Uh,
help you.
yeah, that Path of Exile trade system. If
I
you
look, I
are
understand it.
unfamiliar
Trade
with
in
it,
the
is
game.
laborious.
Yeah. No, trade in the game for sure. I agree with you. That's perfect. That's what you should be able to do. But typing in the game to trade in the game is reasonable. You're just being an old man. Sorry.
Yeah,
It is easier to go to websites. It's easier to go externally and have those conversations because you can find people faster. But if you keep an eye on trade chat, like I've been able to get runes and things like that that I've needed at really good deals. I've got buddies that use the trade system quite a bit. Like I do not trade. I've made maybe one or two trades through all of Diablo 4, but I have friends who use it every season, and they are the ones who play the longest because they're engaged in the economy, and that's what
right.
kept you engaged in Diablo 2. You just have to give a shit enough to want to engage in the economy.
I I don't I don't want to have to go on Discord. I want to have to
See,
message people. I don't want to have to
right.
like barter in real time. Like,
Sure, and I totally understand. That's not the game you want to play, and I don't want to play that game either, and that's fine.
right.
But don't be a hater, bro. Don't be a hater.
I
Don't yuck
guess
someone
that's
else's
fair.
yum. They like going to those websites. I
Hey,
learned that from you, by the way. You taught me not to yuck yums.
that's true. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, go one way or the other, right?
yeah,
This
yeah. Go all in
be
or remove it.
and especially if you're after 9 seasons in, we're not able to kind of get duping under control. That to me points to like
Yeah, that's wild.
there's a greater issue happening that you don't have a handle on. So it, why allow that to kind of dilute outward and
Yeah,
just curb it because it's kind of a hindrance, right? It's hindering other people because now even if you are engaged in that trade economy, right? Everything's going to get inflated. You're it just
sure,
they're duping, but
sure.
they're not dropping the prices where it's significant. It's an expectation. Like think back to like the old Stone of Jordan dupes that were happening. I remember going into
Yeah.
trade in Diablo 2 trying to get something and like, well, I'm looking for like, probably 20 stones of Jordan for this. I'm just like, I've never even found one of those. How can I give you 20 of them, sir? I will never get this item that I want. And now you've got
Well, you just gotta
people,
trade. You see, all you gotta do is you gotta drop the right rune to trade for the Stone of Jordans, and trade for the Stone of Jordans to get the, to get the thing that you want.
right?
That's how you do it.
Yeah,
Because that was a better trade system.
I mean, yeah, that was something else too. Look, one way or the other, choose something, and that was a benefit of Diablo 3 of like, hey, it's not going to happen. It kind of harks back to like what you were talking about
But
too
I
with
think I think that is what alienated a lot of the fan base, was because so much of Diablo 2's lifespan, especially for the hardcore, I play this game every day and have for 30 years or whatever, like those people would not do that as much without trade. There are exceptions for sure. There's a
right,
lot of people that love single player games and play through the game a lot. And look, I play through it every year. I love Diablo 2. It's a great game. Um, but that trade economy was a big part of Diablo 2's history. And a big part of what made Diablo 2 so fun and so addicting was the social aspect of getting a great item and then flipping it to someone else and getting some runes and trading up and getting stuff, right? Getting really good deals on things. It was fun to be like, I'm bored playing the game, but I'll jump into a trade room and just AFK and wait for someone to join and see if they want to trade something. Um, there was a subset of Diablo players that loved and still love that, and they have gone to Path of Exile, and that is fair. Um, I would love to be able to bring people back in with that sort of economy, but um, it is partially there. It's not quite as robust or interesting, I would say, as Diablo 2, because the drop system is more interesting in Diablo 2 than it is in Diablo 4. But it is there, it exists, and it is fun to engage with for the people that I've experienced that mess with it in a little bit that I have. I think it's a little more pleasant than some others, but you're right. Diablo 3 was one side of the spectrum, and Diablo 4 needs to pick which side of the spectrum it's on, right? Are we going all the way with it, or are we gonna cut it loose?
Yeah, I mean, there's no right answer, but it does seem like the current system is just not tenable. 9 seasons in,
Yeah.
we're still duping. We've seen trade get shut down almost every single season. I would expect at some point soon that might be the case with this one as it's getting out of control, or they're just gonna like kind of look the other way. I'm
Open the
not.
floodgates.
Yeah. Um, but if we haven't fixed that, that would be something kind of going forward. I mean, I'm gonna say it. I think Diablo 3's PvP was, but I'm just kidding. Diablo 3 didn't have PvP.
Yeah, come on now.
It
I mean, you're right.
had the
Heroes of the Storm was better.
right.
Yeah.
It did have the promise of PvP. So any day
Yeah.
now, it
Um.
could still happen.
Yeah. Maybe once Diablo 5 comes out, Diablo 3 will get its famed PvP for sure.
God, that arena.
I still look. I haven't engaged in PvP in Diablo 4 in a little bit. But my most memorable, most fun moments of Diablo 4 have been PvP moments. They've been stuff out in those fields, in the fields of hatred. It's so much fun. I just wish there was more to it, or I would love to see an arena. I know it's not going to happen at this point. There's no way. But I would love some sort of other PvP thing. But I don't know if the ROI is there, and I think there's such a small subset of people that love PvP in that regard and would love to play it in Diablo that that's probably the wrong tree to bark up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think PvP in Diablo 2 is something very different. It was genuinely exciting. PvP in Diablo 4, it just I mean, it was and it wasn't. Like there
It was not. It was so whatever. I don't
it
look. If you had a room of people that you all knew and were playing fairly and legitimately, sure, it was great. If you had an open PvP game, no one had fun in those games once the right person showed up.
I just personally loved playing hardcore, being in a game, doing like whatever farming you were doing. Somebody goes hostile against the whole group, and then the panic that ensues. Is somebody going to try and find this guy? Is somebody going to challenge him? Are they specced out where they're going to absolutely
That
demolish
rush
me?
still exists in other games.
Yeah, it was
That rush does exist though. There are games that took that and made a whole economy out of it,
right.
which is great. I recommend Sea of Thieves, possibly some battle royale games. Could
Um,
be spun that way as well. Dude, in the right game, you get that feeling, that adrenaline, like oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. It can
yeah,
happen. I promise.
maybe. But yeah, Diablo 4 PvP is I had a lot of high hopes with the ear system, right? Make it a comeback that
hmm
we hadn't had since
I
Diablo
still
2.
have ears. That's actually all that I have saved in my stash from my non-seasonal characters is just ears. I just have so many ears.
I have Greg
Mostly from
Miller's
my
ear.
friends that I
That's about
murdered at
it.
various levels. Nice.
Yeah. Because we were getting the PvP challenge, so I killed Greg Miller. I have his ear yet, and it's still sitting on I want to say a necromancer probably, um, somewhere in there. But okay, so relatively even. I think as we're kind of winding down here. I think a lot of what happens with any game, especially 2+ years on, is you begin to wax a little nostalgic for what you knew. And there's a large contingent of people whose first Diablo game was Diablo 3.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
even if they didn't like it 100%, they can look back maybe a little bit more fondly through rose colored glasses to these halcyon days of when Diablo was amazing, ignoring the fact that, like Diablo 3, especially at launch, was not well received. It sold really well, but then people hit their
Mhm.
infernal walls and had to do a loot reborn kind of season, and then another one like a year later, and then the Diablo 3 started to kind of shake up, and then we got Reaper, and Reaper's really when it kind of came into its
Reaper
own.
made it so good. Yeah, they did such a good job with Reaper.
And but Reaper's legs weren't that long. It started
Yeah.
to kind of wear. And that's when the buildup for what is Diablo 4 going to be came about. And but that was like 5 years. Like people were losing their shit over a dice that were showing up in a BlizzCon bag, like as a
Hmm.
confirmation that Diablo 4 exists. Look at the backlash to Diablo Immortal. Like that was it was built off of just bad timing, but it was also built off of an expectation for what Diablo went like hearing about Diablo 4, right?
Hmm.
Why was that so big? Because people were sick of Diablo 3. It wasn't that it was this most amazing game that people needed more of. It's just the Diablo 4 hasn't lived up to everyone's expectations. And looking backwards on
Yeah.
Diablo 3, maybe they just feel like that was it. And I don't think that is either. Right. And I think we've also pointed out, and I think you've done a great job of like, yeah, Diablo 2 is a great game,
Amazing
but
game. Incredible. Yeah.
there's a lot of things that after 20 plus years aren't as exciting as what they could be. So,
Well, I think it's also, I mean, just after 20 plus years, I don't want to play that game anymore. I've played
right.
that game, right? If I want to play
Games,
Diablo 2, I'll play Diablo 2. I want to play something new, but that feels like home,
right.
right? Um,
Games should
yeah, I
evolve.
agree with you.
And
They absolutely should, right? Like, yeah, I could go on a rant about that one for a long time about another popular Blizzard game that I won't talk about. But
hmm,
yes, games should evolve. They evolve for reasons. Not always the best reasons, but usually the more convenient and updated reasons make sense. And sometimes you feel a need for that old nostalgic itch, then go on back. But I don't need Diablo 4 to become Diablo 2.
no, not at all. Or Diablo 4 to become Diablo 3. And
Right. Yep.
really, just Diablo 4 to be Diablo 4 in its state and then continuously getting better, right? And I think you've
Yeah.
astutely pointed it has been adding in these new things. The apologies, everyone. What am I doing here? Not professional. I'm coughing on mic like a bozo.
Terrible.
I know
Terrible.
it's amateur hour, but continuously evolving.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it is different, and now we gotta see what is to come. So don't
Me
look,
hitting max level, hopefully.
yeah. Um, you know, I think it's time to quote the greats when we look at Diablo 3. You know, don't look back in anger. I heard you say. That's all of that song that I actually know.
That's good.
I don't listen to a lot of that's Oasis, right? That's Oasis.
I don't
You're
actually
the
know
biggest
at all.
Oasis fan I know. You were just talking about how you got tickets to England to go see their show. Is that what you
What?
told me? Yeah, you told me like you're like I am one of the biggest
You
Oasis fans
Xanth is
in
a
my
liar.
life.
I've never
I
ever said that in my life. I don't hate it,
proposed to my
Oasis. I mean, they're
girlfriend
fine.
listeing to Oasis,
That's not true. No, that's not true.
and then we made
They have.
love,
I know a
is
couple
what you said.
songs, probably the ones that most people know. But yeah, no, I didn't say that. And
That's so
you're a
weird
liar.
that you would deny it. Probably because I'm internet points. It's okay to
You
remember. I'm not.
are you
I'm
gas? Are you?
not.
I don't know why Xanth is gaslighting me now. Everybody,
Did you
we've
just
gone off the
say not
rails.
to yuck someone else's yum? I'm not trying to yuck it at all. I'm trying to celebrate
Oh,
your yum
that's fair.
for Oasis. I believe,
Okay.
didn't you say like it was Oasis and Train were playing together and you're like, this is my dream
Oh my God.
combination
Yeah.
of bands.
Yeah.
If we could get
Yeah.
both Oasis and Train together, yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
England.
For sure. Yeah. Bucket list for sure.
You asked me to watch your
How?
cats, and I was like, okay, sure, man, I can do that.
Okay. See, so children, when you lie, some form of truth in the lie makes it feel believable. And the cat line is real. I didn't ask him to watch the cat. Oh my god.
It was
I don't know
implied
where
that I
this.
would because I'm a good friend. I
Yes.
can make the
Yeah,
trip
totally.
and do
Yeah.
that. Um, this really got away from me
It did. It
here,
did. Yeah.
and
Um
I'm not gonna apologize for it because I don't know what you say. That was funny. Um,
yeah.
to me, at least, I found that very, very funny. But and looking backwards, there's always danger of waxing too poetic about things that we thought. Time, smooths away all those rough edges, right? You're going to
Yeah,
remember
for
more of
sure.
those good things and significantly less of the bad. So that's what we do. That's part of human nature. Um, anyways, as we look forward, next podcast we'll come back. We're going to talk more about season 9 with a little bit more informed perspective. We'll grab somebody else. Maybe it'll be nine ball. He's on assignment today. He's
Yeah,
going to
we have
see
him in the field.
Oasis in England. That's who it was. God,
Everybody, I want you in the comments to ask Nine Ball what his favorite Oasis song is and when he stopped crying during the set. Like at what point he was able to compose himself.
I'm assuming at
Just
no
various
point.
questions in and around the
I don't
Oasis
even like
performance over the weekend.
Oasis. I don't know where that came from.
It doesn't matter now. We're riding this train. So team, we need your help in the comments just to confuse Nine Ball even more.
Yeah,
Because it was very successful last time.
yeah. Those
Let's keep it going.
those uh those were great. For those of you guys who did comment on the last one, Nine Ball did look through them, and then at some point he's like, "What the hell did you guys do?"
Yeah, he was really confused. It was amazing.
And I apologize for not catching that, but he was very confused, and I think that's the way we prefer him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll come back. We'll talk more about season 9, and then obviously it may be a mid-season patch. Maybe we'll be hearing stuff from devs. Things are just coming back from the 4th of July, so things are more than likely a little quiet. Right, we're not going to hear much, but patches will come out, and
I don't know. Gamescom's coming up.
that's the other big thing. Is Gamescom, right?
We're
Gamescom
about a
will
month and a half away.
will come up.
August 20th.
Diablo has a big history with Gamescom, so do
And they've
I
announced some. Adam has announced things in the works behind the scenes for Diablo 4,
right?
and they've been teasing stuff for Diablo 2 as well.
Yes, the
So
25th anniversary of Diablo 2 was not that long ago, with them making some things about things to come. So what does
yeah,
that mean?
for sure.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have a lot more to talk about. If not, we'll come back and we'll shoot the shit around our latest seasons, what we're doing, how it's going, all that jazz. But in the meantime, let's close it out as we always do with a boo, moo, moo.
Boo.